In 1881, Dr. William Halsted rushed to help his sister Minnie, who was hemorrhaging after childbirth. He quickly inserted a needle into his arm, withdrew his own blood, and transferred it to her. After a few uncertain minutes, she began to recover. Halsted didn't know how lucky they'd gotten. His transfusion only worked because he and his sister happened to have the same blood type, something that isn't guaranteed even among close relatives. Blood types hadn't been discovered by Halsted's time, though people had been experimenting with transfusions for centuries, mostly unsuccessfully. In 1667, a French physician named Jean-Baptiste Denis became the first to try the technique on a human. Denis transfused sheep's blood into Antoine Marois, a man likely suffering from psychosis, in the hope that it would reduce his symptoms. Afterward, Marois was in good spirits, but after a second transfusion, he developed a fever, severe pain in his lower back, intense burning in his arm, and he urinated a thick black liquid. Though nobody knew it at the time, these were the signs of a dangerous immune response unfolding inside his body. This immune response starts with the production of proteins called antibodies, which distinguish the body's own cells from intruders. They do so by recognizing the foreign protein or antigen embedded in an intruder's cell membrane. Antibodies latch on to the antigen, signaling other immune cells to attack and destroy the foreign cell. The destroyed cells are flushed from the body in urine. In extreme cases, the massive breakdown of cells causes clots in the bloodstream that disrupt the flow of blood to vital organs, overload the kidneys, and cause organ failure. Fortunately, Denis' patient survived the transfusion, but after other cross-species transfusions proved fatal, the procedure was outlawed across Europe, falling out of favor for several centuries. It wasn't until 1901 that Austrian physician Karl Landsteiner discovered blood types, the crucial step in the success of human-to-human blood transfusion. He noticed that when different types were mixed together, they formed clots. This happens when antibodies latch onto cells with foreign antigens, causing blood cells to clump together. But if the donor cells are the same blood type as the recipient cells, the donor cells won't be flagged for destruction and won't form clumps. By 1907, doctors were mixing together small amounts of blood before transfusing it. If there were no clumps, the types were a match. This enabled them to save thousands of lives, laying the foundation for modern transfusion. Up to this point, all transfusions had occurred in real time, directly between two individuals. That's because blood begins to clot almost immediately after coming into contact with air, a defense mechanism to prevent excessive blood loss after injury. In 1914, researchers discovered that the chemical sodium citrate stopped blood coagulating by removing the battlefield of World War I. Combined with the newly discovered heparin, medics safely stored and preserved liters of blood, wheeling it directly onto the battlefield to transfuse wounded soldiers. After the war, this crude portable box would become the inspiration for the modern-day blood bank, a fixture of hospitals around the world. Did you know that horseshoe crab blood plays an essential role in the medical industry? Find out why we're so dependent on this ancient creature with this video, or continue understanding your circulatory system by learning more about blood types.
tail hook slams into the number 3 wire. For 1 second, everything holds. Then physics takes over. The 1-inch steel cable snaps like a guitar string under 47 million foot-pounds of force. 1 sailor dies instantly. 4 others hit the deck bleeding. The pilot's mistake just turned a routine landing into a killing machine. This is what happens when a pilot breaks the arresting cable on America's deadliest workplace. Carrier landings are controlled crashes where everything must go perfectly. Our Navy pilots train for years to master the most demanding landing in aviation, but even the best pilots make mistakes. And on a carrier deck, pilot error doesn't just risk the aircraft, it can kill the brave sailors working below. When a pilot makes the wrong decision during landing, the arresting cable system can be pushed beyond its limits. Too much speed, wrong angle, excessive weight, poor timing, any of these pilot errors can cause that steel wire to snap with the poor American crowd. If you have respect for our military heroes who face these dangers every day, let us know by typing respect in the comments below. The deadly physics of pilot error. The arresting system on U.S. carriers is engineered to handle specific loads. When pilots stay within those limits, the system works flawlessly. But when pilots push beyond the boundaries, whether through error, desperation, or poor judgment, they're playing with forces that can kill. Each arresting wire is calibrated for specific aircraft weights and speeds. The Mark 7 system can handle a 50,000-pound aircraft hitting at 130 knots. But what happens when a pilot comes in at 150 knots? Or carries extra fuel that puts the aircraft over weight limits? The math becomes deadly. Here's what our pilots face. They're approaching a moving deck in a heavy aircraft at highway speeds. Every decision matters. Too fast and they overload the system. Too slow and they risk a stall. Wrong angle and they can miss entirely or hit with excessive force. The most dangerous pilot errors happen in seconds. A pilot who doesn't reduce power properly. A pilot who comes in too steep because of poor weather. A pilot carrying battle damage who can't control approach speed. A pilot with low fuel who can't afford to go around again. When these pilot decisions overload the arresting gear, the cable doesn't just break, it fails catastrophically. The steel wire, under enormous tension just milliseconds before, becomes a supersonic whip. It can slice through steel equipment, concrete barriers, and human bodies without slowing down. Our deck crews train constantly for this nightmare scenario because they know pilot error is always possible. These brave Americans work in the most dangerous job in the military, trusting that pilots will make good decisions. When pilots fail, deck crews pay the price. Case study, the Nimitz tragedy. April 18, 1996. The USS Nimitz was operating in the Gulf of Thailand when pilot error turned routine into tragedy. An F-14 Tomcat was returning from a mission, and something went wrong during the approach. The pilot was coming in too fast. Whether it was misjudgment, equipment failure, or emergency conditions, the F-14 hit the deck with more energy than the arresting system could handle. The cable caught the tailhook as designed, but the forces exceeded the wire's breaking point. The steel cable snapped with the violence of an explosion. 1 sailor was killed.
ganda ng pwesto mo, kana. Nakaganyan pa yung kamay mo, ah. Lagi nakaganyan yung kamay mo, kana. Kana, baho. Baho, baho. Kanang babaho. Baho, baho. Kanang babaho. Akin, pakpak. Akin yung pakpak. Pakpak, pakpak. Pakpak, pakpak, pak. Hindi. Ay, 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 ay. Ay. Nangangalabit pa. Ay. Naamoy mo, no. Naamoy ni Kana. Mamaya ka na. Naamoy mo na mga pangot mo. Pakpak. Akin ang pakpak. Pakpak, pakpak, pak. Sarap. Sarap. Kaya 400, binigay ko kay Kay. Binigay ko na kay Kay.